In Beijing, the absence of one man set off shockwaves. General Hu Weidong, China's #2 military commander, has vanished from public view. What followed was no routine reshuffle, but the biggest purge of China's armed forces since Mao. 2 defense ministers fell, entire branches gutted, and Xi Jinping left with a shrunken high command. Is this ruthless purge a show of strength, or a sign of deepening cracks in China's war machine? On a crisp April morning in Beijing, China's top brass gathered for a routine tree planting ceremony. But one man was missing. General Hu Weidong, the #2 uniformed officer in the People's Liberation Army and a vice chair of the Central Military Commission, the CMC. Within hours, his absence ignited speculation of yet another purge at the very summit of Chinese power. Under Xi Jinping, China is undergoing the largest purge of military leaders since the Mao era. Not only have 2 defense ministers fallen in quick succession, but an unusual number of generals promoted by Xi himself have been sidelined, investigated, or disappeared from public view. The result: a shrunken CMC and deep uncertainty about the loyalty, integrity, and readiness of the PLA's most sensitive branches. The Central Military Commission is the real apex of military power in China. It's a party organ, not a state body, meaning control of the CMC is synonymous with control of the gun. Since 2012, Xi has been General Secretary, PRC President, and CMC Chairman. In recent months, multiple CMC seats have gone vacant or changed hands, reducing the body to 4 active members: Xi Jinping, Zhang Youxia, Zhang Shengmin, and Liu Zhenli. That's the smallest lineup in the post-Mao era. Chinese President Xi Jinping has now dismissed nearly 1/5 of the generals he personally elevated, a purge on a scale not seen since the Mao Zedong era. The Central Military Commission, once a 7-member body, has been cut down to just 4, its smallest size since the political turmoil following Mao's rule. Far from a sudden move, Xi's campaign reflects a long-running strategy, executed methodically over the course of his career. In his first term from 2012-2017, Xi took down rivals linked to former leaders, but left his own appointees untouched. He vows to crush endemic corruption, post-buying, exam fixing, promotions for cash. Early probes target legacy tigers from prior leaderships, signaling no one is untouchable. In his second term, the military's rocket force rose to prominence, and Hu Weidong himself was catapulted to general rank. Relative stability at the top as Xi pushes sweeping PLA reorganization and elevates the rocket force, which manages China's nuclear and conventional missiles. But in his third term, which started in 2022, Xi broke precedent, removing even his own loyalists. The purge began in 2023 with Rocket Force Commander Li Yuchao, then cascaded upward to Defense Ministers Wei Fenghe and Li Shangfu. By 2024-2025, 2 defense ministers are expelled, and by spring 2025, Vice Chair Hu Weidong vanishes from public events. Xi's stated rationale is corruption and discipline. For years, promotion and procurement were notoriously transactional. The July 2023 notice from the PLA's procurement arm cited information leaks, small circles or cliques, and malfeasance stretching back years. Analysts say the purge also reflects a trust deficit. Xi wants a force that is both clean and fully loyal before any major contingency from the Taiwan Strait to the South China Sea. But there's a catch. Purges that move fast and high can incentivize concealment. Officers may hide defects to avoid blame, making oversight harder even as punishments get harsher. Xi insists his campaign is about stamping out corruption. When he first took office, he warned that graft in the People's Liberation Army posed an existential threat. Promotions could be bought, posts sold, and military readiness compromised. In 2023, the PLA's Equipment Development Department even acknowledged investigations into procurement scandals and information leaks. But many analysts argue the purges are about more than corruption. They are about loyalty, control, and eliminating potential rivals. Washington-based researcher Neil Thomas, a fellow researching Chinese politics at the Asia Society Policy, said,
"Xi seems intent on keeping allies and rivals alike guessing about succession, perhaps right up until the last moment. If Xi elevated a civilian to the CMC at the 4th plenum, it could signal a potential heir, but that would be highly unusual and highly unlikely."
The answer is contested. Leadership churn at the top of the rocket force risks training disruption, morale dips, and quality doubts about high-end systems. Western intelligence assessments have suggested procurement flaws that could degrade performance. If the purge cleans out graft networks and deters rent-seeking, the PLA could become more professional, especially if new appointees are technically competent and politically reliable. Reality likely sits between the two: short-term turbulence, medium-term consolidation, with outcomes hinging on whether reforms fix incentives inside procurement and testing. Yet behind the spectacle lies uncertainty. According to Joel Wuthnow of the US National Defense University,
It's hard to say how much the purges have impacted readiness. The main point is that Xi himself probably can't be fully confident in the quality of PLA equipment, even as the PLA prepares for a major parade in Beijing designed to show off its new capabilities.
for foreign observers, the key question is whether Xi actually trusts the generals standing beside him to wage war, particularly across the Taiwan Strait. Washington's assessments also say Xi has directed the PLA to be ready for a Taiwan contingency by around 2027, a capability goal, not a prediction. On September 3rd, Beijing will stage its first major Victory Day military parade since 2015. Expect new kit, massed formations, and a political stage. Watch who stands with Xi on the Tiananmen rostrum, who salutes from the CMC lineup, and whether the rocket force is prominently showcased or kept low-key. Soon after, the 4th plenum offers a chance to refill CMC seats and signal succession clues or more controlled ambiguity. Xi's purge is either the clearest proof of strength, the power to discipline the gun, or a revealing sign of weakness, lack of trust at the summit of a rising military power. For China's neighbours and markets, the distinction matters less than the bottom line. Politics inside the CMC now sit at the very centre of Asia's security risk.